The system told you this story. You're bad with money because you don't try hard enough. You spend too much on coffee, you don't budget, you just need more discipline. Now look at what's actually happening. 38%. That's Gen Z's financial literacy rate according to the TIAA Institute's 2025 Personal Finance Index, the lowest of any living generation. The US adult average is 49%. Gen Z is sitting 11 points below that, and the generation that scored lowest is also the one that came of age during a pandemic, watched inflation shred their first paychecks, and got handed TikTok finance advice from people who got paid to promote coins they never actually held. If this was a discipline problem, wouldn't the numbers look different? Here's what the official story ignores. 75% of US teens learned about personal finance from their family, not school, family. And as of October 2025, only 30 states in the country even guarantee a standalone personal finance course before graduation. 30. That number was 6 in 2019, 6 states. So the generation that supposedly just needs to try harder was handed money knowledge from parents who were also never taught, and then judged for the result. Dr. Brad Klontz, financial psychologist at Creighton University, has spent his career studying what he calls money scripts. These are unconscious beliefs about money, formed in childhood, passed down across generations, and most people don't even know they're running them. His research identified 4 patterns: money avoidance, money worship, money status, and money vigilance. 3 of those 4 are directly linked to lower income and lower net worth. Not personality flaws, documented belief systems, inherited, not chosen. Klontz put it plainly. Most people don't even realize these beliefs are driving their decisions, but they have a powerful impact. So when you avoid opening your bank app, when you treat yourself to something you can't afford because you're stressed, when saving feels pointless, that's not laziness. That's a script someone handed you before you were old enough to question it, and the script runs deep. A 2021 study in the Journal of Economic Psychology, 6 studies, over 9,000 participants, found that financial shame doesn't just feel bad. It actively makes your financial situation worse. The researchers, led by Joseph Gladstone, found that shame, unlike guilt, causes withdrawal. Guilt says you did something wrong and can motivate change. Shame says there's something wrong with you, and shame triggers avoidance. You stop checking balances, you stop opening statements, you stop engaging, and then the situation gets worse, which generates more shame, which triggers more avoidance. It's a documented cycle, not a character flaw. 46% of Gen Z adults avoid checking their bank account balance because of financial stress, according to a US bank and Morning Consult survey from early 2026. Nearly half, and 49%, almost the same group, said they've literally shielded their eyes from their bank balance or a bill. Not metaphorically, actually looked away. The official story calls that irresponsibility. What the research calls it is a nervous system response. Here's the science the budgeting influencers skip over. In 2013, Harvard economist Sendhil Mullainathan and Princeton psychologist Eldar Shafir published research in the journal Science measuring what financial worry actually does to cognitive function. They tested shoppers at a New Jersey mall. When the hypothetical problem was small, a $150 car repair, wealthy and lower-income participants performed identically on cognitive tests. When they raised the stakes to $1,500, lower-income participants' performance dropped sharply. Then they tested the same experiment on sugarcane farmers in Tamil Nadu, India. The same people, same tests, same environment. Just once before harvest when they were financially strained, and once after when they'd been paid. The scores were dramatically different. Same people, different financial context. Their conclusion: financial worry consumes the cognitive equivalent of losing a full night of sleep. It narrows your focus to immediate survival. Mullainathan and Shafir called it tunneling, and crowds out the long-term thinking that budgeting, investing, and saving actually require. You're not failing to plan because you don't care. You're failing to plan because your brain is burning bandwidth just trying to get through the week. Financial insecurity among Gen Z went from 30% to 48% in a single year, according to Deloitte's 2025 survey of over 23,000 respondents across 44 countries. That's a 60% spike in 12 months, and 30% of Gen Z admit they cope with financial anxiety by buying something, a treat-yourself purchase, when they're stressed about money. 33% say they actively avoid taking any financial action at all when they're under pressure. The system's response to all of this? Download a budgeting app. What's missing from almost every conversation about Gen Z and money is this: the problem isn't information. Surveys consistently show around 3 in 4 teens actually want to learn more about personal finance. 88% of adults support mandatory finance education. 88% of US adults told the National Endowment for Financial Education they believe their state should require a semester-long financial literacy course for graduation. The demand is there. The appetite is there. What isn't there, or wasn't, for most of this generation was the actual education. And even in homes where money was discussed, what got passed down was usually the family's money script, not financial strategy. 50% of Gen Z prefer a family member as their primary source of financial advice, which means half the generation is learning from someone who is likely carrying the same inherited beliefs and the same shame patterns, just with more experience managing them. Dr. Anna Maria Lusardi, Stanford economist and lead researcher at the TIAA Institute, said it directly. Financial literacy gap equals education problem, not discipline problem. The persistent low levels of financial literacy underscore the need for targeted educational initiatives. Not willpower initiatives, educational ones. So here's what actually changes things, and it's not another budget template. The first shift is treating money as a skill instead of a moral judgment. Right now, American culture treats your financial situation as a reflection of your character. Research from Psychology Today puts it plainly: money in this country has come to symbolize not just wealth, but identity, status, and moral worth. 62% don't discuss money. That's why 62% of people in a 2023 Empower and Harris Poll study said they don't talk about money with others. 75% avoid it with friends. 75% specifically avoid discussing it with friends because it feels like an admission of something shameful, not a skill gap. The moment you move from "I am bad with money" to "I haven't been taught money yet," the shame spiral loses its grip. And that's not motivational framing. It's what the research on shame interruption actually shows. Gladstone's 2021 study found that affirming your own sense of self-worth, recalling your own acts of kindness, reconnecting with your identity outside of finances, actually reduced financial shame and got people re-engaging with their money. Willpower didn't break the cycle. Self-worth did. The 4 things that genuinely determine financial outcomes are mindset protection through budgeting growth, through investing, and staying educated about new tools. Gen Z already knows the last 3 exist. 21% invested in the stock market in 2025, up from 15% in 2023. The movement is there, but without the first piece, without addressing the scripts and the shame and the nervous system responses, the other 3 don't stick. You'll set up a budget and abandon it the first time you're stressed. You'll open a brokerage account and panic sell. You'll avoid the investment app the same way you avoid the bank app. Low literacy equals 2 times more debt constraints. Adults with very low financial literacy are twice as likely to be debt constrained and 3 times more financial fragility, 3 times more likely to be financially fragile than those with high literacy, according to the 2025 TIAA Institute data. That's not a motivation gap. That's a knowledge gap with documented consequences. And here's the thing about gaps: they can be closed. The states that implemented financial literacy graduation requirements saw students show higher credit scores and lower delinquency rates than peers in states without the requirements, documented in Federal Reserve research from 2014 and confirmed by follow-up studies. 36% less anxiety with financial routines. 36% of people report feeling less financial anxiety since starting a financial wellness routine, according to an Intuit survey from 2024. 41% say budgeting reduces stress. 41% say that building and sticking to a budget actually reduce their anxiety levels, not increase them. So the official story is that you're bad with money because you don't try hard enough. The observable reality is that you were handed an education system that taught you mathematics and literature and told you to figure out taxes on your own. You absorbed your family's financial stress during a crisis before you were old enough to process it. Your brain responds to money anxiety the way every human brain does, by tunneling by, avoiding by reaching for the one thing that feels like relief right now. And then you're handed a listicle about the latte factor. You're not broken. You're undertrained in an environment that made that as likely as possible and then blamed you for the outcome. That's the story nobody's telling you.